What up, guys? Welcome to the third part of the video series where I talk about why I chose the Genesis Coupe over the Evo. And if you guys want to watch the BRZ and 370Z video, you could go down in the channel and click that one. Very simple, easy. To it, let's talk about why I chose the Genesis over the Evo. So here's a little backstory. My first car that I owned was a 1996 Mitsubishi Eclipse. The same one that Paul Walker had in the first Fast and Furious movie. You know, except for all the mods and all that crap. So when that came out, I felt ready to go. I wanted everything that Paul Walker had. I wanted to drive what he had, everything. So when the next movie came out and he had the Evo, I was like, oh, that car looks nice. Let me check that one out. So fast forward years and years later, I'm test driving a 2013 Evo MR. So that's a little backstory, a little funny story. So let's get into the numbers. So the Evo has a 2.0 liter turbocharged inline 4, while the Genesis has a 3.8 liter V6. So moving on, the gas mileage for the Evo to the Genesis are relatively the same. The Evo putting out a combined 22, while the Genesis has a combined 24. So the power for the Evo was putting out 291 horsepower with 300 pounds of torque, while the Genesis Coupe has 348 horsepower at 295 torque. So pretty much they were around the same. The Evo did have a little bit more torque, but the Genesis did have more horsepower. The weight to power ratio for the Evo was 12.3 pounds per horsepower, while the Genesis Coupe was 10.1 pounds per horsepower. So there was a little difference there, but And the weight of the two vehicles were relatively the same. The Evo coming in at 3,573, while the Genesis Coupe was coming in at 3,523. So there's only a 20-pound difference, and that's fucking nothing. That's nothing at all. So moving on from the numbers, let's talk about the ride. When I test drove the Evo, right away you could tell that the car wanted you to push the limit right away. The gearbox was smooth. The interior was nice. It wasn't outdated, and it was overall comfortable ride. The handling was on point also. There's nothing you could really complain about the Evo other than the price point. So when searching for an Evo, I finally found the one I wanted. It was the only white Evo in the area that I found, and it was beautiful. I went down there, I checked it out, it had everything I wanted. The only downside was $39,000-$40,000, and I was like, whoa. I was like, whoa. And it was kind of funny because I walked in straight out of work in my work clothes, and they didn't pay me any mind. I was literally in the dealership for 10-15 minutes standing next to the car like, so anyone's gonna help me? And that kind of pissed me off. But yeah, so $39,000-$40,000 compared to the Genesis, which was $27,000 to $30,000. That's a big wiggle room where if I wanted to get the Genesis, I could throw the extra $9,000 on mods. You know what I mean? But it didn't really deter me because I had the money at the time, but it was crazy. It was crazy. So at the end of the day, it was really down to the money. If I had the money, I would have gone Evo all day. Every single day, all day, I would have gone Evo. But $40,000 compared to $25,000 to $30,000 car, it's really hard because that's a lot of money where I could be throwing into customizing my car the way I want it to be. A lot of you guys might have the money for an Evo, and that's great. And if you guys want it, go test drive it. I guarantee you're gonna fall in love. But for me at the time, I didn't know where I was going with my job. I didn't know what I wanted to do. You know, I didn't know where my life was going, so I didn't want to commit myself to a $40,000 car with $500, $600 payments and lose my job, or decide that I wanted to start a career and go back to school and not be able to afford the car. So these are all the things you got to look into before you purchase something. So hope you guys liked the video. That was my little comparison, my little rant on why I chose the Genesis. Of course I chose the Genesis because, you know, had the power, it was relatively cheaper and all that good stuff. Alright guys, hope you guys liked the video. Give it a thumbs up, like, share, comment, leave me a message, send me a friend request on MySpace if you have a MySpace. Who has a MySpace nowadays? Not me. But alright guys, see you guys later. Peace out.